What's up everybody, Soul here with another MENACE video for your viewing pleasure, and today we're going to be talking about our girl, Rewa. That's right, Rewa. For those of you that have been following the channel for a while, you know that I've covered another game, Sword of Convaleria, where there's a character, Rawia, and I always want to say Rawia when I use this character. It cracks me up. But regardless, this character is phenomenal. Let's get right into it by talking about her unique perk. And that is right here, Revel in Slaughter. She's as brutal as she sounds, guys. She's as brutal as she looks, and that's not nice, but you know, you can tell she's been through some hard times and she aims to give them back. And so right here you can see there is a plus 6% accuracy and plus 6% discipline for each enemy unit destroyed, and it stacks up to 5 times. That is amazing. Can't get enough of that, which of course you don't know, and if you're bad at your maths, that's 30%. It's killing 5 enemies. Holy, that's fantastic. Needless to say, you want her doing some damage, and doing some damage big time. However, a lot of people pick her up really early, myself included on this run, and so I find at first perk, tier 1, I pick up Roadkill. This is amazing. You just drive right up to enemies, you start with a light vehicle, the APC, and you just run them over. Free kills, cheap, effective, really nice stuff. This is a phenomenal perk for your early game. However, if you get Rewa, if you get Rewa late, maybe, and you didn't choose her early, or whatever the case may be, or maybe you're using her in your late game, this falls off. This has less utility, in my opinion. It's far less often that I'm wanting to drive right into my enemies and try to run them over. Let me just say that. And so, especially when you get later in the game, like I want Rewa in a bigger vehicle, a tank, because she really has some great perks that set her up for that, which we should get to, and let's talk about it. Of course, down the line we talk about Tank Buster, but I go down this path where I double back for Tank Buster later because we're progressing through early game, on the mid game, and then late game. So the next perk you pick up is tier 2, which is that Zigzag. Absolutely love this perk. Cannot get enough of it. Plus 5% defense for each tile moved. That is absolutely amazing. She drives up. She's a wall. She's a force. Bullets ricochet. Defense is high. Love it. I can't get enough of it. Unbreakable is the next perk I pick up. Absolutely love this. And then what that does is that defect thresholds are lowered. So light defects occur at 50% HP loss, medium defects occur at 25% HP loss, and then a heavy defect does not occur at all. I absolutely love it. Now, you can still get some pretty harsh defects along the way, like you can have your weapons disabled and whatnot. Don't get me wrong, I feel like that shouldn't be I think it's a light defect, if I remember correctly, but I think it shouldn't be a light defect between you and me. But regardless, this is still a great perk because she's going to be putting herself in harm's way. And yeah, she's really good in that way. And so Unbreakable just makes great sense on her, in my opinion. The next perk I pick up is Drive-By. And so now this gives you a minus 10 AP for the next standard attack after moving, and can trigger multiple times per turn. Do I need to say more? It's run and gun. We love it. Absolutely phenomenal. You get into that mid game, you get her into something better. Maybe you're putting a better weapon on her. Maybe you're utilizing her in a different way. You're not running over your opponents. Whatever. This comes in and starts doing a job. Fantastic perk. And then down here at the bottom, I love picking up Berserk. I wish everybody had Berserk. Berserk is such an amazing perk. I mean, 30 AP for a kill. That's phenomenal. Absolutely love it. She's picking up tons of kills, so this is just a no-brainer. And then by the time you're at this point where you have this perk, you're probably progressed to a point where you're at least mid-game. Let's just say you're late game for the video's sake, okay? Which is where I am right now in my current run. And so I am now doubling back, and I intend to pick up Grind Down as a perk, and that's because she's going to do more damage to armor, 30% at that. Period dot. It doesn't matter what it is, what's going on. Absolutely love it. I don't mind having this at all. Let's chew up some armor. Let's kill them. You name it. Great stuff. And that's going to really give her light weapons some good utility, depending on what you're running, of course. But yeah, let me get on next to the next one, and that is Tank Buster. Tank Buster, she's coming in. She will help you deal with other vehicles and do great damage to them. Plus 25% damage and armor penetration against those vehicles. Can't say enough about it, especially when you're facing more and more menace and you're having to deal with those higher tier menace that are stronger, tougher. She's going to help you chew them up and spit them out. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And then, you know, honestly, if you have the extra promotion points and you really want to go back and fix your early game Rewa, I get rid of Roadkill personally, and then I throw on, in its place, bags and belts. I'm going to be frank with you, because I want her to have more accessories. The accessories are pretty phenomenal. You can throw on there, and that's all I'm going to say. I don't really want finisher, because I don't want her trying to attack and kill weakened enemies. I want her dealing with the bigger, bulkier enemies up front. And then Fury, I don't really care for that. I like the bonus damage. I don't like losing accuracy. It hurts bad when you miss, and so I don't care for that, especially the way I like to run her, which we'll get into that in a second. And then I do not like commando on her personally. I don't really want her on her own. I want her clustered up with my unit, my team, or being the spearhead that breaks through and allowing us to make pushes into that enemy line. And so I don't want her on her own in any kind, shape, way, and fashion. An honorable mention, though, is to shreds. If you're using her specifically to damage other vehicles, this is a phenomenal perk because a +1 light defect for each defect inflicted. However, I'm not really in the business of trying to create debuffs on my opponents, if that makes sense. I'd rather just kill them. And so this is an honorable mention. I'm not going to suggest you to pick this up, but there's no shame if you do. There's nothing wrong with this. With that all said, let me talk about how I like to run her. So you're looking at my late game Rewa setup. And so right here we've got this infantry fighting vehicle modular right here, which you can carry units in it and whatnot, but we don't. What we do is we throw on this long barrel tank, which is absolutely amazing. I love the damage that this weapon's doing. It has 180 hit point damage and 130 armor damage and 150 armor penetration. Some good suppression with 30. Elements hit is only 1 though. That's a downfall, but it is what it is. It's anti-structure, anti-vehicle, and it does an amazing job. You will be coming across more and more heavy units, more and more big units, and she just puts them down. Absolutely love it. And then for the lighter, smaller enemies, or even medium enemies that does a decent job, is this CMG 50 mmg. This mounted machine gun is absolutely amazing. I cannot get enough of this gun. I put this on her as her secondary, her light option, and she is railing enemies left, right, and sideways. I can't get enough of it. She drives in, she's in their face, aggressive. She's got options to deal with both, and it's phenomenal. Now, down here, on this current setup, like to run ceramic plating. You come across a lot of lasers the further you get into your campaign, especially when you get to that late game point. Regardless, this is going to really mitigate some of that damage. It reduces that weapon damage by 50%. Fantastic. And it's, of course, energy-based weapons specifically there. And then I pick up the vehicle ammo cases because I want to have extra ammo. I want her shooting and all the time. That's what her perks really lean into, is dealing damage. And so I'm capitalizing on that. With that said, let's talk about the early game. Now, the early game, you're going to start with the Slight Trooper carrier. This is what you start with. I call it an APC. And so for this, I personally do not use a heavy gun often. I think you're going to start, if you run her, I think you start with the CMG. But if you don't have another option, you can always run that mounted chain gun. And then with those two options, you're going to be able to run. Now, the M6 CMG is a pretty phenomenal one. Nothing wrong with that. This thing is going to get around pretty fairly well. And then you're going to have these two options to run and gun and do some pretty decent stuff. I'm going to be honest with you. Any gun you put on her and run and have fun with, you're going to do fairly well with. She's going to be your transport early on, and she's going to be running things over early on, and so have a blast and do what you want with it. If you happen to come across the mortar, the 120 millimeter mortar, especially early game, this weapon, it hurts my heart. Like, I want it to be good. The mortar's so good in infantry's hands, but on a vehicle, it is abysmal. I don't know what else to say. It's not just like something you never ever want to use. It's a suppression gun. Its damage is negligible. It provides great suppression, and then you get an option of some smokes, which I absolutely love. But the minimum range is tough, and so that's all I'm going to say. I would avoid this as best as possible. That's your early game build running this vehicle right here. However, where she really shines, in my opinion, is in that tank, putting on, of course, that long barrel tank gun, and then give her a light weapon. You pick what you want. I have the CMG 50 millimeter right here, the mounted machine gun, and so that's what I like on her. And of course, you got the ceramic plating, and we've got the vehicle ammo cases. And then when you pick up that third inventory slot, let's say you pick up the bags and belts, smokes. Smokes are amazing. You might want smokes period dot. It just depends. If you're fighting enemies that don't really use lasers, smokes. Don't worry about the ceramic plating. Smokes all day. What I don't suggest you to run is the armor plating, because it reduces the amount you're going to be able to move. Great armor benefit. Great armor benefit. But +4 to your movement cost per tile is harsh. And so that's really hard to deal with. There's no way to overcome that other than to take your perk for extra mobility. But you're breaking even at that point, and I don't suggest it unless, you know, of course there's a scenario that calls for it. Maybe you're not going to be moving around a bunch. Maybe you're just defending a hard point. Regardless, I digress. Tell me all about it. What do you think? What do you think about the way I play Rewa? I did it. Rewa. I did it. Rewa. How do you play her? Get down in the comments and tell us all about it. Remember, everything you're saying really matters. It helps the whole community. We're all getting in at each other and talking, and I love it. There's really good things happening in the comment section, so thank you so much for that. And I'm really proud of how everybody's supporting each other and offering different input and advice. Thank you so much. If you think I'm worthy and I've done a good job, make sure you drop me a like and subscribe, and give a huge shout out to our soldiers, these boys and girls that support the channel and the cause. Thank you so much for your support. It really makes a world of a difference for me in the content that I'm putting out. So thank you big time. If you too want to support the channel, make sure you check out the links down below. And until next time, guys, I will catch you later. Bye.